Hello learners, I'll welcome you to the second session of the second part of the session 2. So we are dividing first session. So our scheme was in the first that session 1, we have done indexes, reports, committees. This is the session 2. Now session 2, as I told you, will be long because the government scheme. So it has part 1 and now the second part is starting. So it is the all the governance part is there. Then we'll quickly come to the remaining of the sessions. So I'll hope this is October month, this is the first thing. I hope we'll cover everything in 5 sessions. Okay, so governance part 1 is done. In that we have seen the initiatives, programs related to it. Now we will continue with the part 2. The part 2, the first topic is the second section, as we discussed in the introduction to the part 1, that 6-7 topics are there. So the second topic is institutions. First is Invest India. So Invest India is India's investment promotion and facilitation agency. Why it is designed? It is just designed as it is, first of all, what it is, it's a non-profit investment venture under the same department that we discussed, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. It focuses on sector-specific investor targeting. So a lot of FDI which comes into India gets through Invest India, then comes India. Invest India is in one of the agencies that promote these things, not comes through it. So don't get confused, right? It is the one thing that focus on the having the investment coming into the India, and development of the new partnerships to enable sustainable investment in India. Okay, promoting the sustainable invest in India. So after that one will see, for example, Korea, with Japan, we have specific institutions for that. Okay, next is PESO. PESO is many a times written news, so I want to cover all the institutions. Achha, for this class, as we discussed, there will be 6 parts, right? So you can find the link of each things, institutions, policy, in the description box. So if you don't want to see the institution part, just go to the description box, just link on the for example, if you want to just read the apps and the portals, just you want to revise apps and the portals, just go to the link box and click on the apps and the portals link. It will take you, this video will be skipped to that portion, and the apps and the portions will start. Apps and the portals will start, right? So the PESO is an apex department to control and administer manufacture, storage, and the transport and handling of the explosives. So basically PESO, from the name itself, Petroleum and the Explosive Safety Organization, right? So what it does, it is responsible for the handling and the transport, storage, the whole cycle, from the manufacture to the whole cycle is manufacture to the storage to transport through handling of these all explosive. It is under the which department? Again the same department, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay, what is the headquarter? Headquarter is near Nagpur. It is in Nagpur. So Bhandara factory is also there of the defense there. Okay, just for extra information. Purpose: the firecracker licensing authority for the unit of higher capacity in terms of the chemical handling and production. PESO is also the firecrackers licensing authority for units of high capacity, if the high capacity is done. So, and also for the smaller units, it is being done at the local level, right? They're monitored by local revenue and the police department. So PESO, just remember the PESO, what PESO does, where the headquarters are, and under which ministry it falls. Because why these institutions are in news? They have come up with some program or something. So we don't want to miss out on those current affairs. Current affair is the current part, right? Those programs, those initiatives. But the current static part, these institutions are already there. So for example, this one is established in 1982. So what is the point of reading it? But it has come up with some initiative or program. So we're just segregating it so as to we have a list of national institutions also, right? So that India Air Book part is somewhere covered here also. So as I told you in the introduction class, that India Air Book also will cover some of the parts of India Air Book here also. Okay? Status a non-for-profit making organization, this Carpet Export Promotion Council. What is the ministry? It is under the Ministry of Textile. The objective is to promote the export of the carpet and all type of handmade material, knotted carpets, floor carpets, and other products from India. So their work is to promote all this. Okay, the Carpet Export Promotion Council. From name itself, it is very clear. Just remember the Ministry of Textile. Next, also Enterprise Development Center. So they are developing a cadre of the indigenous entrepreneurs in the MSME. Creating those entrepreneurs in MSME. So function will be obviously the same function the incubators perform by the startups. they will help those small things. So they will help they will help in the business management operations, organizations, local industry associations. They will work with those to help these indigenous entrepreneurs in the MSME. Government is putting so much efforts on MSME because MSME are the life and breath of the Indian economy. A lot of people, whether it be the manufacturing output, whether it be exports, just search this. If you have read about the egalitarian exports of India, an economic survey, it is mentioned that MSME contributes a lot portion of our exports also. So that is why development of MSME is very important. So we come to the third part of our discussion. We have done initiatives, and that you see very small. The first one was long initiative. Second one was just institutions, some of the institutions that are in. Now we will read some flagship schemes. First is National Pension Scheme. So history, first notified because recently the demand has been come to abolish the National Pension Scheme. Like people are doing that, contributory it is, right? So it was in 2004. It was first notified for the government employees who joined the service from 2004 and later extended to all citizens on the voluntary basis in the 2009. Who the regulating authority is PFRDA, Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority. PFRDA also is the part of FSDC. We are not discussing FSDC here, but Financial Stability and Development Council, but they are also part of the FSDC. So what is the aim? To provide retirement income to all the citizens. Beneficiaries of flagship schemes will have some more details, right? So Indian citizens, resident or non-resident, OICs are also eligible till the age of 65. For government employees, all the employees of central government except the armed forces. So armed forces are not there. Okay, just remember that. And the central autonomous body joining government service on and after 2004. All the employees of state government, state autonomous body joining this, right? All the government employees who are not mandatorily covered under the NPS can also subscribe to NPS. Not mandatorily. Okay. Private employees and unorganized sector worker can also join this. All these are part of the social security initiatives, right? Provide social security to the citizens. Other details, subscribers is allotted a unique PRAN number, right? Just keep a track of what is PRAN versus PAN number, right? Can be used from any location in India. NPS returns are market linked, so return from the NPS comes with the stock market. Can exit from NPS after 10 years of account opening or after attaining 65 years of age, whichever is early. It has triple E status, that is, there is no tax at the entry level, there is no tax at the investment level, and there is no tax at the exemption. EE means exemption at the maturity level for NPS. Earlier it was EET. Okay. Now one of the question has come in the 2017. In 2017, one of the question has come that who can join. The very easy question, you see. Resident of India only, wrong. We have seen OCI can also join. Age, wrong. All the central government employee including the armed forces, wrong. So answer will be this, right? So easy questions are in the making. Just need to know the horizontal coverage. We discussed, right? The horizontal coverage is more important. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Next flagship scheme that we are seeing, that is PM Kisan. So aim is to direct income support of 6,000 per year to vulnerable farmers who have up to 2 hectares of land. Around 12 crore beneficiaries will be there. So central sector scheme funded by Government of India, 100% funding will be done by the government. Yeah, just remember that 100 funding will be done by the central government. So they have given the 75,000 outlays also. So mode of transfer directly into the bank account of the beneficiary in the 3 equal installments. It was announced just before the election in the budget. So documents, Aadhaar will be must for the second installment, not required for the first installment. So remember this small detail. So first installment Aadhaar is not required, but second for Aadhaar is required from second. Eligibility, if you have multiple land parcel, for example, you have 1 hectare here, 1 hectare there, 1 hectare there, so it will be pooled together. So by a single family, so it will be pooled together to determine the eligibility. Next, even the land holdings bigger than 10 hectares will be eligible for benefit under the scheme if owned by the multiple families. If 5 brothers jointly, they have given you the example also, a single hectare, each one will be eligible for the scheme. So just remember that 10 hectare can also be given the benefit of the scheme if the multiple families are involved. So logically what they are saying, one family having less than the 2 hectares will get this benefit, something like that. Okay. Next, responsibility of identifying the beneficiary lies on the state governments. Even though the funding will be 100% done by the central government, but responsibility, because the grassroots thing, right? So how central government will do it? So it will be done by the state and the union territory government. Other details, the list of the eligible beneficiaries would be published at the village level to ensure the transparency. So there will be a social mechanism to check so that there is no ghost, though exclusion and inclusion error is there. Right, dedicated Kisan portal will be launched by for the implementation of the scheme. Family is being defined as the unit, not a household. Okay. So direct income support, the same things are mentioned in what we have already discussed. Okay, PM Kisan. Next is Poshan Atlas. Now, Poshan Atlas, Ministry of Women and Child in association with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Deen Dayal Research Institute under the Poshan Abhiyan have released it. What is this? To map the crops and the food grains grown in the different regions of the country so that nutrition-rich food in the local areas can be promoted. Now, the question can also be asked in the different, for example, the name itself can be a misnomer. The question, the options can be set Poshan Atlas, the mapping of the very area very deep in having large problem of malnutrition, but that's not the case, right? It is just to map the crops and the food grains with the different regions so that the nutritious protein rich food in the local area can be promoted. Okay, so for building a healthy India, so Poshan Abhiyan will cover sometimes how Poshan Abhiyan is different from the earlier approaches to tackle the malnutrition problem, the problem of hidden hunger in India. Okay. Now, hidden hunger has a bigger problem than the normal food security. We have improved our food security, but the problem is with respect to our hunger security. The hidden hunger problem is there. Okay. Next is we come to apps and the portals. Now, government is focusing too much on the app governance, right? So many apps, small things, apps and stuff. Last year, Ministry of Power has come up 4 apps for different things. And apps are nothing, just showing many of the apps are not too good. Some of the apps are good, but some of the apps just showing the website wala thing in the apps. So what's the point of having such apps? You don't, our mobile consumes so many apps are already there. So these things takes a more space in our mobile. But the next is RTI, the RTI web portal. So they have created a web portal for RTI by the central government. So any person, including the NRI, can apply the information under the RTI with the desired Ministry of Department and the central government. An applicant can also pay the requisite fee through online payment. So RTI now tracking can be done by this RTI online portal. Okay, you have to make your username or register just like you do for your email ID, and you are done. For this online courses also, Amrita has a very good online courses also. So if you go on the online Amrita classes, you do the same thing, right? So what the contemporary static read you must do? Read about RTI, different sections of RTI. If news, we'll cover that. For example, which section is with respect against the Official Secrets Act. So need to know about which section define the public authority. So you need to know all those things. Okay. So read about RTI. Small sections are important with respect to RTI. Next, we see app and the portal governance, that is the consumer app. So obviously Department of Consumer Affairs it will be. So what is that? To help consumer register their grievances online as well as give suggestion on the consumer related issues. So recently in 2019, we'll cover that someplace that the 1986 Act was revamped, and some new act has come into picture. Now, the logic behind that, for example, which big event happened? 1991 LPG reform. So our consumer rights need to be evolved also. Also, the entry of the players like Amazon, Flipkart, now majority of the things are sold on that platform. So consumer rights have to be has to grow in accordance to that also. As in, our rights have also need to be strengthened with as these Ola, Uber, these things go on, right? We cannot rely on only their customer care support. Many of time they do not help us. So we need some government mechanisms so as to empower the consumer against this big business conglomerates. But their working is also good. For example, I share my personal experiences. I complained with respect to Uber for something, and I tweeted that. So within 10 to 20 minutes they replied me back and they solved my problem. So it's good experience. These for many of the good companies are because the loyalty, if I have loyalty with Uber, so if the same price vehicle there, even if Uber is pricing 10 rupees more, my loyalty is lying to the Uber rather than the Ola or the other thing. So if they have a good consumer grievance redressal mechanism, so it will help us. Okay. Next is E-Dant Seva. Now government is coming up with very different portals and all. Take care of the mouth since childhood, so that the preventive healthcare you can see, so that some behavioral change can be done, or some people get to know the best practices. People get to know the importance of this. So launched by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in collaboration with the AIIMS and other stakeholders. It is the first ever national digital platform on oral health information and environment information dissemination. So people get information for their oral health, and the oral health improves, right? So the aim is to, as I told you, sensitize, right? Inform them about the significance of maintaining the optimum oral health and equip them with the tools and knowledge to do so, including awareness to the nearest oral health service facility also. If you ever been to a dentist, they are very costly. They are very costly dentist, as in if you go to a good dentist, they are very costly. So it is better to have your preventive health care done rather than too much eating too much chocolates and having cavities and all. Okay. Okay. So next portal is Prakash portal. So Prakash is, for the full form of Prakash, a very innovative portal made by the government, at least the acronym. The Power Rail Koila, now the English, then Hindi, Koila availability through supply harmony. They make anything, right? So Prakash is Power Rail Koila. Koila means coal. That is availability through supply harmony. So from the name itself, it is clear what they want to ensure, that there is harmony between the, for example, those power plants and the coal mining areas. So from there, the tracking of the things can be done so as to the sustainability of the electricity sector can be maintained. For example, the frequency of the transportation, these small things can be managed. So it will help in mapping and monitoring the entire coal supply chain from the mining areas to the power plant. So that's a good app. It is developed by NTPC. It aimed at bringing the better coordination for coal supply among all the stakeholders. So stakeholders will be from Ministry of Power to coal, the Coal India, the railways, and the power utilities. Okay. Next is, so you can see this portal also, Rail Koila availability portal. So the objective, you can again read it there. So they will have a stock at the supply side, and in between all the station, and finally the power plants. Okay. And NTPC, as we said, is spearheading this program. Next is mHaryali app. So Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, as we discussed, the ODF plus ministry, ODF plus and plus ministry, the same ministry is having this app also. So mHaryali app, from the name itself, it may seem that if you have not read the current affair, it may seem that it is from the agriculture sector doing something like that, but it is to encourage public party engagement in the planting trees and green drives, to provide an automatic geotagging of plants. So it is geotagging. So, for example, there it is not visible. So geotagging is for the, as in where it has been planted and something like that. Next, the audios, that is Ministry of Tourism, an audio guided facility app for the 12 sites of India, iconic sites. So what they want to make, an informed tourism. Okay, so the process of making tourism more informed, so as to people free, as in you do not have to using technologies to make tourism more informed. And many of times the touts are there which harass, many of times they harass especially the foreigners for guides and something. So if these facilities are there, people will be more better experience. For example, whenever you go for touring, a lot of money is involved first of all. So whenever in the tourism you want a hassle-free experience, then only you will suggest that place to someone else, right? So, and also you need to get to, for example, their touts, and you know that they will be harassing you or they will be charging a lot, so you won't be happy with, you won't take the guide. If you won't take the guide, you won't be able to know the specific details of the particular place. The guides will tell you about the significance of many of the places, right? Next we come to the next segment of our discussion, that is policy in news, right? So what is the policy in news? First policy is the policy approach toward the pricing of water in India. So we have also a history of, as in the 1987 policy, it was emphasized that the water rate why it is in news? Because government is thinking to restructure the pricing of the water thing. The same thing, comprehensive water management index by Niti Aayog, the damming index, the damming data they have come up with, that very so is that if we do not manage our water quickly, we are in the serious issues. So this policy level approach toward it is there. So earlier in 1987, envisaged that water rate should reflect the scarcity value of the resource and foster economy in the water use. In 2002 policy, same things but some changes. Should charges for various uses should cover at least, matlab, minimum charges should at least be operational maintenance of providing the facility. And 2002 latest policy, it currently being there, pricing should reflect its efficient use and reward for its conservation. So those who conserve, which should also be recorded. A very funny incident happened that a person wasting too much of water was fined only 50 rupees or 100 rupees in Haryana. He wasted so much of water. But the issue or facts, you can see that water is the state subject, and where the regulation and the development is not part of the whereas regulation and development is part of the union subject. That is why one of the committees associated is old committee, that is why I have not covered in the, maybe if it is in the news we will cover. So Mihir Shah committee, one of the recommendation is to make water in the concurrent list, so is to more coordination among these states can happen and center in these states. For example, we will cover somewhere the interstate water dispute, right? Why it is that? Because the water is a state subject, and the Supreme Court intervention and lot of problem in the water sector, and that is why India is facing one of the great crises of water, right? So there is no independent statutory water regulatory authority in India except the Maharashtra. Maharashtra have come up with the body, but because they are facing a lot of problem for the water. One homework I can give you, just read about Pani Foundation. It's a good Amir Khan's foundation. It's a good, you'll see one few videos how they work, what is the modus operandi, and that can be very crucial in while writing your mains answer writings, right? So additional details can be seen. Water sector, the Kerala was the first state to impose irrigation water charges in 1974. The 7 states in UT yet to impose such charges. Other one have imposed such charges. No need to remember that. Center for the first time issued notification recently, 2018, 1 year before. They have issued a levy for the groundwater conservation fee by industry and domestic users for consumption beyond a certain limit is yet to come into effect. So we need this once again. So we need some regulation. The water, some fee should be. Otherwise, what happens whenever we get something for free, we waste. Good examples we have seen air, we have seen water, soil. So it is a human tendency when see something get free, we used to waste that resource, right? Israel has very less water resource, but they are very more like too much efficient than us. But we have so much water resource, but now the river seems to be polluted, the recycling is not happening, and now we are facing the groundwater crisis also, right? So that is the time for the water conservation. And that is why a Ministry of Jal Shakti has come up recently, so as to integrate all the efforts of the water into one umbrella program. One umbrella ministry should be there. Okay, that goes to show the seriousness of the government also. Next is new strategic disinvestment policy. First of all, what is strategic disinvestment? We will discuss in the economy concept. In the concepts of economy, we will discuss strategic disinvestment. So, nodal department for this policy is Department of Investment and Public Asset Management under the Ministry of Finance. As I discussed, that you must know the departments under different ministries, right? So, we have department under the Ministry of Finance, the DIPAM, Department of Investment and Public Asset Management for the strategic stake sales. Who identifies the PSUs for the strategic disinvestment? It is DIPAM and Niti Aayog jointly. So they identify. Who is the co-chair of the interministerial group on the disinvestment? DIPAM secretary. These things are not important. Only the important thing is this one. Who identifies it and on the nodal department. Next policy is vehicle scrapping policy. So Ministry of Road and Transport has come up with a draft guidelines for authorized road scrapping facilities. Now, because especially, for example, from this March onwards, all the BS4 cars will not be registered. So all the old cars, what will happen? What will happen? It's not like that everybody will be using the old cars, right? They will go somewhere. For example, you see there the scrapping thing. So we need more institutionalized process for that, so that do not cause the formalization of the sector can happen. Some useful components that can be taken out, that for example rubber tires and all things like that, they can be reused, recycled. the idea of circular economy. Circular economy, you should read in the mains that you integrating the waste into the same economy for more sustainable resource. For SDG is also associated with this sustainable consumption, right? So aim is to legalize the industry in India, currently working more or less in the informal sector. So they have given some guidelines, not too much important, but let's see. As per the guidelines by the CPCB is given some guidelines. Set up in the large area with adequate space and a vehicular movement. Certified depolluting equipments, because the pollution can be one of the big factors. So they are cracking down on all the sources from where the pollution is coming, whether it be water pollution, air pollution, to ensure the zero leakage of the pollutants and radioactive detection equipment and environment complaint parking of the waste vehicles. So owner of the vehicle scrapping facility must undertake to abide by these laws. For example, how many people are working, so protection of the labor laws, minimum wages, employee provident fund and work compensation fund. So these things again not important, but the whole point is with the policy framework we can, if we have a very robust policy framework, we can legalize the industry, make them streamline, taxes and all, people get employment and more formal process can go on, right? Now, and also the old, if people, why don't they switch from new to old? Sorry, from old to new? Many a times because they do not get a very good price for their old. If they start getting good price for their old one, so they will quickly switch to the new one, someone willing. So what will happen? If, for example, this one is generating a lot of pollution. So if they switch to this, the pollution content will be less. So that can be one of the other factors why we need to legalize this vehicle scrapping industry. Okay. Now we read the funds in the news. So first fund is, which is in the news, that Army Battle Casualty Welfare Fund. So Defense Ministry, you can see battle casualty in that, from the name itself it is very clear. It has approved a fourfold increase in the monetary assistance for the battle casualties, those who die in the battle, from 2 lakh to 8 lakh. This amount will be granted under this fund. Established in the 2017, but the news came, the things have moved. For example, fourfold increase done in this way. Department of Ex-Service Welfare under the Charitable Endowment Act 1980. Not too much important, but still, that means it is under the statute. So the defense ministers approved the fourfold increase in the fund to facilitate the battle casualties. Okay, those who die in the battle. Next fund is Acceptance Development Fund. So this fund is developed by the after the recommendation of Nandan Nilekani Committee on the increasing the digital transactions in India. So it is set up first of all by RBI. RBI, just remember that. So to improve the last mile payment network in rural India to transact digitally, the proposed fund will have all the major banks and payment companies transferring a percentage of their proceeds from the fee occurred from processing digital payments, called MDR. Now, one of the question in 2018 or 19 has been asked upon the MDR, merchant discount rate. So it's an economic concept. We'll see in the economy thing, current affair economy thing. So in whichever month, I cannot promise you in this month, but whenever month is there, we'll do that. So proposed fund will have all the major banks and payment companies transferring a percentage of their proceeds from the fees they get under MDR. For example, MDR is given by, for example, you go into the Reliance Trend, for example. You go into the Reliance Trend and you offer a credit card. You pay something, some fee is given by the merchants to the banks. So that money they are getting, the banks, they will invest that money into this fund. And from this fund, what will be done? To improve, they will improve the last mile payment governance in the rural areas. Other details they indicated in the document of the RBI, the payment system vision document of RBI, and it is based upon the committee headed by the Nandan Nilekani on committee on the deepening the digital payments. So again, this committee can also be, you also remember the additional content. For example, we discussed some of the committees in the last session, the first session, and this committee can also add on to that the notes how you are making notes. So this vision document is also given by RBI. Don't remember, not NPCI, by RBI, the payment system vision document. Okay. Next, the last thing we come to, the last the section of our discussion is the state government's initiative. Okay. So why this is important? Pen change. No. Just 1 second. Yeah. So why it is important? Why it is important? One of the question asked in 2016 that which of the states had declared the butterfly as the state butterfly, that is Maharashtra. why I put this question, many of the thing may you think that why we need to study the state fund. Similarly, I'll put so many logical because previous years can only convince you that you should study this, right? Current affair, the exclusion error, right? So many very peripheral topics they have asked the question. So going forward, especially in the international relation, we'll see so many different dimensions that you say they are not important, but the questions they are asking, that goes to show that these are also important. So just 1 second, change of pen. Okay, so we see the state level initiatives also. First is Mo Sarkar initiative launched by Odisha government to provide service with dignity to the people who are coming to the government offices for different purposes. Who are coming to the government offices for the different purposes. How? The phone number of the people who are coming to the government offices will be collected randomly with the purpose to improve the governance by collecting feedbacks of behavior and professionalism of the government officer. Very easy. So basically it's a type of grievance redressal mechanism or taking the feedbacks. So if you are writing the answer on the good governance, so you can give one of the good example, the Mo Sarkar initiative of the Odisha government. So serving with the idea of citizen-centric governance, second ARC, right? So one of the good examples is this, state level they are doing it. They will take the feedback from the people on the way the government official have behaved with them. Okay. Next is Jan Sampark Shibir. So it is, you can see CRPF in the Jan Sampark Shibir launched by the Odisha government to reach out the tribals living in the Maoist hit Swabhiman Anchal in Odisha. It's a very peripheral topic, but still for the sake of covering, we are covering it. We also see how I stretch it also, so as to give you new information. So for the tribals living in the Maoist hits area done by the Odisha government. Change of pen again. So Odisha, you can see Odisha camps connect with the tribals with the Maoist area. Now, first of all, Maoist hits Swabhiman Anchal is one of the areas. So a special Jan Shivar is there. But what I want to mention here is Gurupriya Bridge. It is very significant. After this bridge has been made, many of the areas that were not connected earlier with the mainstream, they were connected, and many of the Maoist surrender has happened because of this. So east-wide cut-off area of the mini reservoir named as Swabhiman Anchal last year was inaugurated after Gurupriya Bridge, and now we are seeing so many and these programs, this Sampark Shibir, so they are getting more and more people to surrender. So that is why we are also witnessing the declining trend of the LWE, the declining trend of the LWE we are also witnessing, right? So this is the Gurupriya Bridge. I'll show you the location, not clear from here, clear from this. This is the same location, zoomed out the Google map so as to give a very clear location. So again, this is the boundary you can see. This is Sukhma, where the attack happened, Sukhma, right? Next, this is the exact location you can get. This is Odisha, this is Sukhma, right? Bhilai and Raipur. So you can have this tri-junction, and this is one of the hotbeds of the Naxalism, the tri-junction theory, which says that the areas of the tri-junction, they lack governance, deficit is there, and government not able to, because one government thinks it is the duty of the other government, and these areas remain cut off from the governance, and that is why we see a lot of Maoist activity, LWE activity in these areas. Okay. Next, we see Jan in public information portal. Change of pen. So Jan information portal has come up with this. Rajasthan government has come up with a Jan Suchna portal. So it's a single window portal hosting information database of 32 different scheme of 13 departments. So again, the same thing, the good governor idea of good governance, giving information to the people, public information portal, because one of the provisions the RTI also says that we should disclosure, we should focus more on disclosure, we should keep everything transparent. So the question of right to information, they should ask question, but the normal question that what are the components of this scheme, these questions should not come. So the burden of RTI will reduce. If we promote the transparency is increased, the burden of RTI will reduce. Obviously, then human resource associated with that will reduce, and more transparency and accountability can be ensured. Okay. So these schemes can be a good source for you, not only prelims, but prelims ke liye to important, they are very important for prelims perspective, but you can also use these for the mains also. That is why I want to tell you the relevance, right? Jan Suchna portal. Now this was a interesting, not interesting, I would say some issue in Kerala happened. some flat demolition controversy. So a committee was set up, and Balakrishnan Nair committee, to oversee the distribution of compensation. For example, CRZ issue were there. Coastal regulation zone was there. These flats were done. You can see here near the coastal zones. They were approved some time back by some of the officials, but ultimately they were not in the zone, as in they should not have been built on those areas. So finally, the verdict came that these things should be demolished, and the Kerala government went ahead and demolished those. So in October, it was the news that they were to be demolished. The protest was going on, and recently only this, you can see the date here. Just 1 second. Yeah, you can see the date here, 11 January 2020. They have been finally demolished, the imposition technology. Must have seen also, if you are connected on the social medias, or if you send on WhatsApp, very different, very profound video was there. Okay, right? So Balakrishna committee was there for the overseeing it. Change of pen. So for Mizoram, we can again the news from the Mizoram. So it is the top state with HIV prevalence. Too much HIV prevalence is there. So it's a Christian majority state bordering the Myanmar. Obviously, narcotic substances like heroin and methamphetamine, and they are smuggled across the Myanmar. So what is there in Myanmar? If you see, this is Golden Triangle, MLT, that is Myanmar, Laos and Thailand. So this is because this area become, for example, Mizoram is here. This is Northeast, not Africa. So I'm really sorry. This is Bangladesh. So this area become the hotbed of the narcotic substances. Just remember that Mizoram has the highest HIV prevalence rate, right? So with this, we've come to an end of our governance session. So we divided our governance into seven things. We started with the programs and initiatives, and we come up with, in the first video, first part of this session, you have seen, I hope you have seen in the first part of our discussion. The second part, we have 6 other cases, for example, state government, the funds and other portals. Why we have done so? So give you more structured way of reading current affairs, because current affair is one of the biggest issues facing the students. Now this will be the longest part. Obviously 2 sections we have made. In the next session, we will come to the other parts of the current affairs. We have already done the indexes, committees, and the random facts. We have already locations. We have already done. We have done the governance in this video, and then we'll move to the next part of the video, and then see you in the next session. More importantly, keep on revising your contemporary and whatever the complementary current means static read that you have to do. Just keep on doing that. Because without doing that, current affairs will be a bit shallow. But if you do that and you read current affair in a very structured way, that's all the preparation you need. Okay. See you in the next session. Thank you.